My favorite Bravo show, which we all know is Below Deck, my obsession. You revealed something to me the other day.
This is like when I'm out at night and I run into people on reality TV, it's like we can have a great conversation. But then when I reveal this on the air, you're the same way. It's like whatever you say in a text or a phone call to Melissa Rivers, David, will be brought out.
Not true, but
Okay.
this particular,
It's okay.
no, you and I do talk off the record.
I know.
But this one you did reveal to me yesterday that you have a full-on crush with Fraser.
From Below Deck. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had him on my show. And listen, I have crushes on a lot of people as they come on behind the velvet rope at times, but listen, he seems, I mean, I don't see a boyfriend there, first of all. I like that you don't really know. I mean, is he? He's kind of like mysterious. He's not the type to put his stuff out there. And then I personally think that he is a trust fund child. I've decided he is always like, I'm in Switzerland at the Ritz and now I'm in Aspen. And I'm not, I don't know what chief stews get paid these days, but I'm not saying you need to be a trust fund, but it doesn't hurt. And not saying that's not. So I'm just so intrigued. I mean, he's also cute and he's nice. And yeah, I have a full-on crush, Melissa.
Yeah, but he's very tightly wound.
I'm like, okay with that. I mean, I'm like a little bit of an A-type personality, especially when it comes.
A little?
Okay, well, I am. And especially with work. And I feel like there's a proper way to do things and there's an improper way to do things. And I'm okay. Listen, I find that two tightly wound personalities, either it's perfect or yes, you literally want to kill yourself. You know what the problem is? I say that I want someone laid back and then you meet someone laid back. And then it's like, then you have to do everything. Like, where do you want to go to dinner? I'm like, oh my God, like, I just don't want to think. So sometimes when someone has a tightly wound personality, they'll say, be here, shut up, do this. And you're like, thank you. This is perfect.
I always want someone who can deal with shit at the airport. So I don't have to be the one, finding out. Like, I go up to the desk and ask, how much longer did it? Like, I need someone to be able to do that because it would just be so nice.
See? Now, if you had someone really quiet and not tightly wound, they would never approach a desk. They would be afraid.
I think you and I need to be married. But let's go back to besides.
Melissa, any day that you want to be married, I told you, I have a Hamptons house. Here you go.
I have the LA house.
I was just going to say, I'm going to give up my apartment in LA. I'll come move there and you do what you want when you want it.
Oh, God, it sounds too perfect. Okay, let's go back to Below Deck.
Okay.
Lots of changes. The retirement of Captain Lee. And they are keeping it very under wraps who they're going to replace him with. We know it's not Captain Sandy because she still has her own show. Who do we think it's going to be? Are they going to bring in someone completely new?
I wouldn't mind someone completely new. Or you have to look at like a really senior bosun, right?
Well, you would move actually up a first officer because from bosun you go to first officer.
This is why Below Deck is your favorite. I don't even know the right. So who's a first officer in the Below Deck franchise? Like I know Malia, right? Wasn't Malia a bosun? Isn't she? Or is she now that she's like the first officer?
Malia, I think, became a first officer. And most of these bosuns and first officers are getting their licenses for the bigger boats. I wouldn't be surprised if Malia already has the qualifications. I'm a Malia fan. I personally think she's too young.
You know who I thought would have been great, but I believe because of his exit and there was a season where there were like racial claims, and now I think Bravo is done with him, is Eddie.
Yes, Eddie would be great, but Eddie with the cheating and then the lying, it's become a whole thing. There is a new sex symbol now that we've lost Lee as stud of the sea. There's Captain Jason on Australia. Now, have you seen him?
I have seen him. Now, I prefer Fraser, but I have no problem with Captain Jason. I think you don't have a problem with Captain Jason.
Not at all. Not at all. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was Captain Jason. But I just think it's sad that we're losing Captain Lee. And someone said to me, oh, they pushed him out because of his age. I'm like, the man has health issues. It's a safety thing. And he knows that. He's too experienced to not understand that.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. He's done, really, right? Like, not even below deck. Like, I think he's just done at the sea. He's been doing speaking engagements, like some of those, like, let's sell tickets for the Bravo fans. I think he did a few of those in Florida.
Well, Daisy from Sailing Yacht is now doing these seminars on how to be a stew, which I think is I just love that, because Daisy's great, but Daisy had to put out a post saying after the last 2 episodes ago that she was fine because she had a meltdown.
What did she have a meltdown over? See, I'm going to start watching Below Deck again because of you after we spoke yesterday.
Yeah. Pressure. Just pressure. There is so much pressure. And Daisy doesn't crack. And Daisy cracked. Not horribly, but it was all just getting to her. And the show is so popular, she had to put something out on Instagram and all those saying, hey, pressure got to me.
It's got to be hard. It's got to be a hard job in general. And then to be filming a show has to be difficult. I think it's one of probably the hardest Bravo shows to film beyond. I mean, because you are at sea. Like, it's no joke.
No, and you're all living on top of each other.
Are you a sea person? See, I'm not a sea person. Like, I don't.
Oh, yeah.
You are? Like, you like a nice yacht vacation?
Who doesn't?
I'd rather go
if you got to go on a super yacht, would you say no?
I would not say no, but I would rather do the equivalent of that at, like, at a remote island somewhere where we're on land. 5-star resort, but not at sea.
Well, since neither of us have that opportunity being invited to either of those things right now. But I had the good fortune of interviewing Captain Sandy and her wife, Leah. And she asked me if I would ever consider doing the show. And I had to be honest and say no, because my family used to charter a yacht for many, many years, and I have wonderful memories of it. First of all, you do 5 to 7 days. And my family and my friends, we would be so boring, because when we go on vacation, basically the first 3 days, all we do is sleep. And, like, read and, like, crawl from, like, the hotel room to the pool or the beach, eat something, crawl back. At 3 o'clock, I'm asleep in the room until dinner. That does not make for good reality TV.
Did you tell her this? And what did she say to that? She was like,
she said, well, that wouldn't work. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Maybe you could find some friends that will be more of the, and listen, Captain Sandy, they can comp you, but in general, you have to pay for this vacation.
You have to pay half of the normal charter fee, which I've looked up on those boats is $150,000 plus a week. Plus, now we all know you got to give somewhere between $17,000 and $23,000 as the tip, or they talk about how much you hate you.
And then you're cheap on that. And I think even if they waive the fee, because, Jill Zarin, I think I can reveal this. I don't know, but I'm going to reveal it. Jill Zarin's on the new episode, the new season of, I think, Below Deck. It's either that or Mediterranean. I'm not sure which one, but she already filmed it. I think even if they comp everything, this tip you absolutely have to leave on your own. So worst case, you got to leave a tip.
20. And if you're a public personality.
People are watching, honey.
People are watching and are going to say, how did they do it? But we would be so boring. Now, another thing, because I'm the Below Deck expert and get to show off to you, Chef Ben got engaged.
Who to who?
His girlfriend.
Okay. Now, they were joking when they said that he was the father of Kate Chastain's baby, just because they looked. I know that he's not.
But Kate admits that she's not revealing who the father is. Now, they're really good friends, so there is the possibility maybe he was the sperm donor. But I also do think that it keeps interest in them, because Ben now is like a big caterer, private chef. You can hire him to do things like that I would do. Like, I want to have the Chef Ben experience. But he got engaged and he was like hooking up with everybody.
Everyone gets tamed at some point, more or less. I mean, and if you have the next party you have, I'm sure if you reached out to his people, he would be there.
Yeah, I might just do that just to see how much it would cost.
I'm really curious. Listen, until we...
Okay, when are you in LA next?
I'm back in June. I'm back in like 2 weeks.
Okay. You and I are going to, I'm going to try and see if we can pull this. We can split it and then we can talk about it on our shows and make it tax deductible.
I am all for this.
Oh, that would be so fun.
Does
so
he
what
even live in LA or he lives in Florida? I'm just making
He lives in Florida.
Okay, so he'll have to...
And you probably have to fly him out first class.
I was going to say we'll have to fly him out. I didn't know first class, but maybe. Yeah, you're right.
Do you think Chef Ben is going to fly anything but first class, if not private? Because remember, he comes from a very fancy family from England. He talked about that he played soccer to us, with William and Harry.
See, now between him and Fraser, I think there's a lot of like trust fund types that go into yachting, which that shocks me. That doesn't make sense to me per se.
Well, if you're passionate about what you do and being a chef and separating from your family, like with Ben, and he talks about that because there was an episode a few seasons back where he was very insulted by another stew who was also English and kept saying that he was a snob. And she didn't like him because of the area he was from and because of what his family did. And that was a very interesting dynamic to watch Ben have to get really defensive about who he was in his personal life because he had never talked about his family and where he came from.
Interesting.
Okay, you need to catch up, dude. You need to catch up.
After our call yesterday, I'm like, I was so religious on the Below Deck front and it just fell off at some point. But you have motivated me.
And you've motivated me about Vanderpump.
You just start next season when it comes back, whenever that is, and just start from the first episode and it ain't going nowhere.
So I should go season 1, episode 1, or can I skip all that?
I would do season 1, episode 1. Those were the heydays. Now, a lot of them are not there anymore. I mean...
So? We don't have Fashion Police anymore, and people still ask me, how's the show?
Then there you go. Then I would start season 1, episode 1. Those are the classic years.
The classics. Being the Below Deck junkie, I could not believe that you shared information with me that I didn't know about Deckhand Bruno
Duarte, yep.
Do tell.
I mean, from Below Deck to like leading busy working gay porn star. You know, it was always like when he left, it's one of these things that just shows you the development of the world. Like when he left Below Deck, I remember there were like grumblings of this and it was like a scandal and like he tried to keep it quiet. I think with OnlyFans where it is and like where, you know, the world has changed since Bruno was on Below Deck. Oh, he has leaned into it. It's like his entire Instagram is, and he has, I don't know if they're officially married. I think they are. He has a serious boyfriend, husband, who is also in porn. And Bruno is he's literally stalking. He's going to come back on my podcast. He's reached out and is like, I'm like, all right, well, you know, I find it, because at first you're like, well, what's the angle? And I'm like, I find it interesting, like Deckhand to like, I want to know, like, you want to know with Chef Ben, how much do you make on OnlyFans? Like, is it, because I talked to a school teacher I have coming up. She worked for a school. The school found out she was on OnlyFans, had a lot of issues, shamed her, and she quit. And she literally makes over $1 million a year now on OnlyFans. So I just find, I find these stories interesting. Maybe I'm just obsessed with money because here we go back to money again. I just want to know from Bruno, like, how did this happen? How much do you make? Tell me about the life of a porn star.
I can't believe I'm going to say this, what I just thought of. From Deckhand to Dick in Hand. It could be the story of, that could be the title of his autobiography.
Or like the next porno that he's in, that he could be the star. And that's actually perfect.
Isn't that good?
Well, you are a producer, Melissa. Maybe, you know.
There you go. But okay, but we also have to, we gotta put up somewhere what his Instagram is so that people can go and check it out.